Hello, chào mừng mọi người đã trở lại với kênh Việt CCIM là về bất động sản thương mại cho người Việt mình ở Mỹ. Thì hôm nay là nhóm Việt CCIM rất hân hạnh để có mặt anh Calvin Wong ở đây. Anh Calvin Wong là commercial broker, investor và là owner rất nhiều bất động sản thương mại ở vùng Dallas Fort Worth. Thì xin chào anh Calvin Wong.
Ciao. Hello, everyone. My name is Calvin Wong. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I've been in commercial real estate investment world for about 15 years. And today I have the pleasure that Charlie invited me to have a few conversation about commercial real estate, commercial leasing investment.
2022, right?
2022.
Oh my
So
goodness.
this is 2022. I need to frame it up. And also, I am the president for North Texas CCIM.
Wow.
So CCIM is just like CPA or CFA, is the golden standard for commercial real estate investment. So I heads up the North Texas chapter. We have about 600 members. Been doing a lot. But enough about talking about myself. Let's talk about some of the questions and things that you guys are curious.
Yeah. As I say, it's our pleasure to have you today. And you can see Calvin, not just working in Dallas, he's working globally, everywhere. Everywhere he sees the opportunity there about the commercial world. So today, because we now bring the topic about commercial leasing.
Yes.
And we have Calvin here to answer some of the questions about what you don't know about commercial leasing. So the first one, of course, how you define the commercial leasing, Calvin?
Sure. So commercial properties, we have 5 major commercial properties. You have retail, which means shopping centers or malls, and then you have office building, and then you have industrial warehouses, and then you have, of course, land. Surprisingly enough, land also involves leasing, and then finally you have the multifamily. So multifamily leasing is rather different than other commercial property type that I just talked about, because multifamily usually is a 1-year contract, whereas retail, office, warehouses, and land lease, they are usually 3 years, 5 years, sometimes even 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
So the lease contract are much longer than the multifamily. So those are the main categories as far as in commercial leasing. Now within the lease itself, we have Triplenet leases.
Triplenet leases.
So Triplenet, it's N, like 3-letter N, N.
3-letter N, yes.
Yes. So what that means is the first N is net of property taxes.
Yeah, tax.
The second N is net of property insurance. And finally, the last N is net of CAM, which is common area maintenance. So those 3 categories are what we call Triplenet. And what does that mean for a landlord or investor standpoint? So all these expenses, property taxes, property insurance, and CAM, those expenses are reimbursed by tenant.
Yep.
So what that means is tenant, when they pay you, investor or landlord rent, they pay the rent plus all these expenses. So in other words, as a landlord, all these expenses are being paid by the tenant. If you have 100% fully leased property, so all these property taxes, insurance, and CAM are paid for by the tenant. So that's the first lease type, Triplenet. We also have what we call a full service. So full service means if I said, okay, the rent is $20 per square foot, full service, what that means is that $20 is already including all the expenses in there. It's like all in.
The rent and the expenses.
Expenses are included. So that's full service. And we also have what we call a modified gross. A modified gross is similar to full service, except the modified gross will have a base stop. So let's say a tenant signed a lease in 2022.
Yeah.
If I quoted $20 a foot, that's what they're gonna pay. But the following year, if the expenses go up, let's say 10 cents per square feet, because it's a modified gross lease, then the tenant will pay for the 10 cents increases. So the next year will be $20.10 on top of any other increases. Sometimes the leases have annual increases on the rent. So to me, you can look at both sides, right? Because you can justify, say, okay, because the higher rent is because this building is newer, better visibility, better location. Yeah, that can be a justifiable factor. But if you think about how resilient it is if if there's like something happened in the economy, is the tenant still gonna be sustainable, or they're gonna like move out and go to a lower rent surrounding? So there's a lot of factors. That's why commercial, it's what I call you have the art component, and then you have the science. The science component is very easy. The science component is all the facts and the data, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the population, the demographics, the rent, and all that, those are the facts. And everyone have access to the science part.
Yeah.
But the art part is how you see a property that you can add value or turn it around, or have ideas that could push the value further. So the art is it comes by experience. It's not like someone come into and say, oh yeah, all these ideas.
No.
It comes by experience. Just like you are very experienced in doing transactions. That kind of build out the skills in the art part.
Yeah, so that's one, like not just like pros and cons of commercial lease. That is like you planning all the risk involved to your transaction, to the property, and then from that you're gonna have the better number, and the better number makes sense, means like good investment in commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question today: what is the most pressure for commercial broker nowadays?
What is the most
make you feel pressure about the commercial?
Oh, like the pressure?
Yes.
Obviously, market is very, very hot. The pressure comes from too many demand, right? A lot of demand wanting to place their capital into commercial real estate, but very, very limited supply.
Yes.
The inventory is very, very tight. A lot of owners, they don't want to sell because even though they can sell it at a high price, but they need to do a 1031 exchange so that they can defer their capital gain. And when they sell at a high price, and it's really hard to find a replacement property to do a 1031 exchange, it can happen, but it's very, very tough because the market is very tight. So that's what's going on in the markets. The pressure is to helping investors find the right deal. Oftentimes, when in the hot market, it's very, very easy to maybe make some errors or mistake. And that's why it's, for me, I usually spend a lot of time analyzing, advising my clients as if I'm putting my own money into it. So the pressure is trying to be very careful, trying to be at the same time a conservative as well, because this market, everyone is so aggressive, everyone's paying, right? And if there's no conservative, it may come back if anything happened with the economy. Who knows, right? I mean, right now
nobody knows.
The war in Ukraine, and it's already having some impact to our economy.
It is.
If you go to your gas pump, you look at the prices per gallon.
In Texas now over $3.5 dollars per gallon. It is really high. Yeah. So you can see even any aspect of real estate, even commercial, it has it's on about really pressure. Not just you see, hey, they do the closing, they do the funding for transaction, you get the fat, the handsome money to your commission check. It's not just like that,
So I'm the thing is, when I help my investors, I want to make sure they make the right decision and not spend the money, invest, and then turn out they couldn't get the return or things like that. Because sometimes when they buy a shopping centers or office building, they basically put all they have, all the money that they have into this big investment. And I just want to make sure I manage it well, because even though that's not my money, but I treat it as is my money, because I understand sometimes that's all they have for their retirement, and I just have to be and that's the pressure. I'm just a little bit different, a little bit conservative as far as helping my client, but it also helped me as well for the long run. And that's why all this award and it's all because of my client support and trust, and then of course your support as well. Anything I can help answer questions, definitely reach out to Charlie, and then myself, if happy to talk to you guys, anything at all about commercial real estate.
So thank you, Calvin. So much I can tell how much we should to appreciate you, thank you about the information we share, like Calvin share today to all of us, to the audiences and VCA. Thì cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều đã coi cái video ngày hôm nay. Thì chúng ta rất hân hạnh đã có Calvin ở đây để chia sẻ những cái thông tin mà rất là hữu ích, nó giúp mình rất là nhiều trong cái gọi là về bất động sản thương mại ở Mỹ. Thì nếu các bạn có những câu hỏi gì thêm thì có thể reach out tới để bình comment gì đó, hoặc reach out tới nhóm VC, và đặc biệt là reach out tới Calvin. Và một lần cuối thì xin chào các bạn, hẹn gặp các bạn ở những cái video lần tới của VC. Bye bye.
Cảm ơn.